We we played Gears of War 1 Ultimate Remastered Super Duper Edition in co-op.
It's just Ultimate Edition. Actually, it's the 2014, 2013, 2014, 2015. Holy shit, I was so wrong.
You are so wrong.
It's the remaster of the 2006 original. So it's not the most recent edition, which is dropping like tomorrow, which is the whatever the fuck, full diesel unloaded, unleaded 4x4.
Let's find out.
Reloaded.
Comes out August 26th.
Damn.
1 month until it comes out.
So yeah, it's a remaster with the same code. The devs just went inside the machine and then just turned the knobs up and probably re-render the cutscenes because those have some serious fidelity, especially for being 10 years old.
I guess we can get into that first. I was surprised at the technical problems in this game.
Yeah, me too, which is really weird because like we're playing it on an Xbox One.
Yeah, it was made for the Xbox One.
Right, and it's been patched to shit. Now it's been literally 10 years. And
there were a lot of frame rate drops. There was really bad pathfinding or scripting in the enemies. There were a couple of times where pop-in was a thing, like walking forward and backward, you could play with part of the world, like spawning in or whatever.
Yeah, I think the transitions between the cutscenes and the gameplay were really aggressive, which is very strange because they're also fairly common. It's not like another remaster, or technically a remake, I guess, whatever, like Halo 2 Anniversary. Like, they have really hard breaks for cutscenes, but they're also really long cutscenes, and there's only a few of them. This one...
You're saying, like, in-game cutscenes or actual cinematics?
Both.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the in-game cutscenes were jank. There were some rough frame drops and like pop in, but the actual cinematic cutscenes looked really, really good. I was surprised at how those looked.
Yeah. I think the whole, like, all of the technical problems feel like it's clunky. Not just like the game itself is clunky, but because the geometry that they're working with is really low res, like low polygon, and then they're putting on some pretty high textured stuff. It feels like a lot of it is like, whether it be the hitboxes being kind of off, or the weird pathfinding, or just the general like change between animations when like reloading to sprinting to going for cover. It's really like do 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 do.
Yeah, this game really felt like your classic idea of 360 jank.
That is true. It makes me want to play the original version again because that's been a very long time, and I'm wondering if it comes across smoother because it hasn't been like fiddled with on the back end so much. It feels like that might at least be more stable.
But let's back it up a little bit. Let's talk about the story.
Aliens, they exist, go kill them. That's about it.
This is 13 or 14 years after the alien invasion on Earth, and there's space marines, but not those space marines that kill the aliens and try to take Earth back. And then, go here, kill the thing.
Yeah, I was really disappointed in terms of plotting. Like, it logically makes sense, but it is go here, get thing, or kill thing, turn switch, next mission.
Yeah.
And the characters don't really make up for it. I'm assuming they get more fleshed out, but I'm not one to deviate from ooh-rah bullshit. Like, I'm the world's largest Halo fan. That shit's pretty shallow most of the time, but like those I feel like they have character. It feels like walking stereotypes, and that's kind of it.
I was wondering if like how intentional it was.
I don't know.
I genuinely, I've been thinking about it since we started playing, and I'm like, this game like got so much acclaim. Like, obviously it's hard for me only playing it 20 years after it came out to try to understand the market that it came out in, but playing it today is like, this feels like someone trying to make memes about these kinds of games.
Kind of, yeah. Like, especially you just played the first, what was it, the first Space Marine for console.
Yep.
And like, even that seems to have a decent level of self-awareness. The newer one has a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, this does,
I mean, Warhammer kind of has it too. But
right. But like, this is it is super Warhammer coded, but without like a lick of irony.
Yeah.
Which is, there's nothing wrong with that inherently. It's just you have to do that really well to pull it off.
It honestly just comes across as like, we made this for 12 to 15-year-old boys. Like, they're gonna think this is the hottest shit because you can the big Space Marines swear and there's blood and you chainsaw aliens in half. But as adults, like, without the self-awareness, this comes across as like the writers being like, look at how fucking gay these guys are.
It's constant. It's like, you're good to go. It's like
so many dudes grunting and like so many dudes like bent over as they're running, like with their ass sticking out. Like, I honestly can't tell if it's parody or not.
That is a good question. I am not very familiar with much about Gears of War outside of its like cultural spot, and that's about it. Never really gotten that far into it, like, ever. I think I've previously played Judgment Day a couple of times. I think I got through the first game like halfway a while back, and I fucked around with the Horde mode a lot, but that's about it. So like, I couldn't fucking tell you jack shit about its development.
I was trying to do some research because I did not have many thoughts about this. And a channel that I found was saying, like, the story of the game is pretty straightforward and you can turn your brain off and watch it and whatever, but there's a lot of story building or, like, world building in the game that if you are curious and like, ask questions, it kind of leads to a lot of what comes up or what's explained later in the games.
Where is Oni is what I need to know.
The entire time we were playing, I did not have these questions. I was trying today. I was looking at pictures on the wall and posters and whatever, and it all seemed pretty generic. Like, yeah, I like that it's 14 years into the war. It feels like that. A lot of buildings are decrepit and there's not much of civilization left over because the aliens have taken over and destroyed everything, but I didn't really have questions about the lore.
Not really, and especially the general design of the locusts are pretty mixed. There's some pretty clear Halo influence, and then the rest of them are just kind of like dudes. Like, there's a very one-to-one like grunt comparison that acts completely different, but like the general design and like place within the sandbox, and the majority of the enemies are kind of just soldiers. There's some with some weapon variation and some slightly larger ones, which are totally supposed to be like, you know, fucking, I don't know. It's hard to tell what's what, and I think part of that might be the remaster problem, because this is the era where we crank the fidelity up really high because we just got into like full HD, but then the detail kind of glosses over because there isn't a lot of depth of like color. Like, everything is kind of sludge, and there isn't a lot of variance.
Another thing that my homework discovered was that this game being third person cover shooter is that it strongly encourages you to play strategically, that there's so much gunfire, you're gonna get wrecked if you just run through it. And I was like, oh, that'd be cool. Maybe if we were playing in a harder difficulty, because we played this on normal. And then we finished up the last third of the game today, and I'm like, I have no interest in playing this in a harder difficulty. Because of the jank, because of just how it is as a kind of janky 360 game, like, there's accidental difficulty just like trying to get the unkillable Pinky monster from Doom to chase after you is bullshit, and then all of a sudden he'll spin like a top and just kill you in one hit or whatever. Like,
even just like meleeing enemies at close range, especially the smaller ones. If you're using the Lancer, you have the chainsaw, which is fine. But if you're not using that, you can just hit B to melee. But because your arm still has to be remotely aimed towards them, and you're like twice as tall as them, but because it's a third-person game, you can't just look down at your dick and punch them.
Or your dick.
Yeah, that too. Like, it's really clunky.
Yeah.
Even like spinning around when you're next to like a full-sized enemy, you're both kind of meleeing back and forth without hitting anything.
Kind of dancing circles around each other. It's weird. So yeah, I like the idea of like a slow, methodical, cover-based shooter, third-person shooter, but this does not have my interest enough to try it. Just because it's so like accidentally difficult through the jank.
Yeah. The collectibles through the campaign seem decently spaced. There's 33 dog tags in total.
We found 22.
Yeah, and they unlock parts of a comic book, which is funny.
I think there's like 5 comics.
Yeah, for the 5 acts. Crazy. Yeah, that seems like a decent amount, but they're not super far off the beaten path, but they're also not directly in front of your face.
Most of them aren't.
They don't like clutter up the place.
Yeah.
Too bad. And they actually unlock something, which is useful. Instead of just having you get them and then you're like, oh dang, why'd I do that?
Wow, I got a thing.
Yeah. It's an ancient game, so the fact that it has split screen co-op is not worth praising at the time. But at this point, being able to play split screen co-op and online co-op is still a big win. A lot of single player games just don't have any of that anymore.
I was very upset to find that I could not play Cult of the Lamb online. It's local co-op only.
Oof.
I was like, no.
I saw somebody at the bank with a Cult of the Lamb sticker on their water bottle. That was weird. That was this week.
Love that. The music in this game is so strange. The best description I can come up with is like if you're watching Batman the Animated Series and a scene with the Penguin comes on. It is that kind of womp, 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 womp.
Especially in the second half of the game. It was really heavy. Like, the cutscenes have their own music, and those were all fine. Nothing really stood out.
Orchestral mostly, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, like marine-ass shit. But that track kept popping up, and that might have been a problem with, like, something internally going wrong. But that played...
Especially because your character kept doing the same death scream, too. I truly wonder if there was a bug happening with
maybe
the sound. But we kept getting that song and that death scream, and it just...
every fucking time.
It never made sense. the music. I really, really wonder if it's placeholder music that just stuck.
Maybe. That vehicle level was garbage.
Yes, there was a vehicle level, probably right in the middle. It was an A-Team where they take a shitty piece of shit car and they put all kinds of like lead steel plates all over and around it so that it's bulletproof. You're driving that,
yeah,
but in a tank.
It goes 8 miles an hour.
At top speed, downhill.
Yeah, it had a very strong I was the one driving. It had a lot of difficulty going through obstacles. It's supposed to be able to smash through shit and take damage as you do it. But it would continuously slow down whenever I was hitting a pile of garbage or whatever. It was constantly just taking damage and being really fucking slow.
We were also playing, well, the level is at night, and we were being chased by shadow monsters, so I was in the light turret on top of this car, and the light turret would just do a blah, and then have a very long recharge. It was worse than playing Alan Wake 1.
Alan Wake reference.
Oh shit, did I do that?
You did. In I believe it was the beginning of the 5th act, we also got stuck in a fucking theater for quite a while. where it has throughout the game, it has this mechanic, which is a decent idea, especially for co-op, where it splits you down different paths to cover different terrain, and it does mean that your deaths mean more because you can't revive each other, blah, blah, blah. But the setup of the actual arena is crap. So there's one player on the balcony and one of them coming in on the ground level, and one on the balcony is supposed to be sniping and taking care of like turrets and whatever. There's also a seeder, which is the big butthole in the floor that poops out squids, and we're supposed to
flying
destroy
squids.
Yeah,
that explodes.
Yeah, and trying to destroy that was one problem, and then there's like 4 turrets in the room, and on top of that, there's seemingly an infinite supply of enemies on the ground. So we're both trying to approach it from different angles. The turret mechanics are just generally busted in like across the board. So having like nearly auto-locking turrets as soon as you enter line of sight, in addition to really unclear directions on where to go, and then like every line of chairs in this theater is busted over, and it's really hard to walk around or across the room. I think we were stuck there for probably 45 minutes.
Yeah,
it was
pretty close.
It was probably like 15 death screens.
It didn't help. It didn't help that the characters were shouting out what we had to do as they were through the whole game whenever there was a mechanic that we had to interact with, but it didn't make any sense. They said to shoot the wall, and it didn't make sense to just shoot the wall. They meant shoot the supports that's hanging the false wall. So I don't know how to make that better, but it was very frustrating to have unlimited enemies and not be able to figure out what you were supposed to do. And that happened a lot in the game of just like, I can't tell you how many times I was like, what are we doing? Where are we going? I don't need an objective every time, but when the story is so bland, when it's so go here, kill the thing, it's like, what thing are we going to kill now? Where are we going? What are we doing?
Marcus Phoenix looks like Fred Durst, and I know that was definitely a conscious choice, but he does, and it's very funny. That's all I've got, dude.
I was the Dom to your Marcus.
Dom, go upstairs.
I'm Marcus's Dommy.
Oh, well, you know, when E-Day comes out, we're going to be playing as those two again, so that'll be an interesting time. I need to revisit this. I think playing in co-op might have actually made it, because then there's twice as much on screen to absorb and ignore.
Interesting.
I think might have impacted it on like a visual level.
Whack.
I know the series gets better, but it is just especially on a story level. It's like it's just shooting galleries. The level design is incredibly linear. The really chunky mechanics. I get that's the point. You're supposed to be a big tank and you can't move for shit. But when every mechanic acts like that, and it's either slow, lethargic, or clunky, and then the hitboxes are weird, you're trying to not stick to cover and then you're sticking to it, and then you're trying to get to cover and it's not sticking. It is very frustrating.
I was really excited to get Reloaded August 26th or soon after it, and now that I've actually played this game, I'm really not so interested in picking it up. Like, maybe if I hear good reviews, maybe if I hear that it runs well, I might, but it's just so very much that 360 all brown military shooter that just is kind of bland in 20 years of hindsight.
Yeah. On the bright side, it's dirt cheap. The original version of the game you can basically get for free. If your GameStop still sells 360 games, you can get it for almost certainly less than $1. I remember seeing it on the dollar rack like 5 years ago. Ultimate Edition was nearly a launch title for the Xbox One, so it's available everywhere. They're basically giving it away for free. And if you had purchased the Ultimate Edition digitally before the announcement of Reloaded, you're getting Reloaded for free anyways. So it wasn't a wasted time, but I am looking forward to breaking it up. I was kind of hoping to play Gears of War 2 next, and I'm going to need a break.
Yeah, me too.
I might go fuck around and just poke around for stuff, but I don't know if I could sit through another like 8 hours of that right now.
I even plan to like get it after we played this on Spencer's Xbox, but now that we've actually played it, I'm just like, I really don't have an interest in collecting everything and 100%ing this game. It's just kind of, I'm happy having just played through it once.
Yeah.